Imagine this. A UFC champion, known for his lightning-fast takedowns and relentless fighting style, faces off against an unexpected opponent, a white cop with training of his own. The challenge: can the champion take down the officer in just 1 minute? It's a matchup that seems almost too intense to believe. In one corner, we have raw, professional fighting expertise. In the other, law enforcement experience and real-world tactics. What happens when these two worlds collide? In this story, we're not just talking about a fight. We're diving into the heart of strategy, skill, and split-second decisions. Who will come out on top, and what happens when the clock is ticking down? Stay tuned, because what goes down in the next minute will surprise you. The UFC champion is no stranger to pressure. With countless victories and the roar of the crowd echoing in his ears, he's faced some of the toughest fighters in the world. But today, the stakes are different. This is no ring, no cheering audience, just a quiet, tense moment with a man whose job is to keep the peace. The cop, though not a professional fighter, has years of experience dealing with high-stress situations. His training has prepared him for moments that demand quick thinking and decisive action, but nothing quite like this. The challenge is set in an abandoned lot, the air thick with anticipation. Both men know the clock is ticking, and there's no room for hesitation. With every second that passes, the pressure builds, each wondering if the other will make the first move. What happens next is anyone's guess. 1 minute could change everything. As the timer begins, the UFC champion stands tall, his muscles coiled, ready to explode into action. He's used to opponents who hesitate, who second-guess themselves under the pressure of the spotlight. But today, there's something different in the air. The cop doesn't seem intimidated. His eyes are calm, focused, as if he's been here before, facing down uncertainty. For him, this is more than just a test of strength. It's a test of character. Every decision, every move could mean the difference between control and chaos. Meanwhile, the champion can't ignore the unsettling feeling creeping into his mind. There's no audience to hype him up, no cheers to fuel his confidence. Just him, the cop, and the ticking clock. He's trained to read body language, but the cop's stance is unnervingly still. It's almost as if he's waiting for something, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The tension between them is palpable, and with every passing second, the challenge grows even more unpredictable. Could this cop, with his unassuming calm, be the wild card in this battle of wills? Or is the champion simply overthinking his opponent? The countdown continues, and the silence is deafening. Neither man has moved, but in their minds, they're already locked in a fight for dominance. The clock ticks down to the final seconds. The seconds continue to slip away, each one like an eternity. The UFC champion's breathing starts to steady, but his mind races. His instincts scream for him to take control, to move first and show who's in charge. But he knows that hesitation, even for a fraction of a second, could cost him. His eyes flicker over the cop. He hasn't moved an inch, his posture rigid, unwavering. It's as if the officer is waiting for him to make a mistake, to overcome it. The champion's muscles tense as he shifts his weight, preparing for the first strike. His hand twitches, ready to grab hold of his opponent, but he can't shake the feeling that the cop is studying him, calculating his next move with precision. Every glance, every slight adjustment in stance from the officer feels like a warning, a sign that he's fully aware of the champion's every move. The air around them seems to thicken, and the space between them feels charged, like a spring coiled tight and ready to snap. The champion wonders if he's underestimating his opponent. What if the cop is more prepared than he thought, more dangerous in his own way? Just as he shifts his weight again, the officer's eyes lock onto his with laser focus. The champion feels the pressure building, a rush of adrenaline flooding his veins. There's no turning back now. He has to act. But will it be too late? The timer ticks down, each second feeling like an eternity. The world around them seems to pause, as if holding its breath for what comes next. Just when the champion begins to make his move, he sees it. An opening, the slightest shift in the cop's stance, a vulnerability. But is it real, or is it a trap? The champion, sensing the opening, moves with lightning speed, launching himself toward the cop in a perfect takedown attempt. His body surges forward, driven by years of instinct and training. But just as he's about to close the distance, the cop does something unexpected. He pivots. It's a smooth, calculated shift, a move that shouldn't have been possible for someone without the same kind of combat training. The champion's momentum falters, his hands grabbing air where the officer was just moments before. For a split second, everything goes quiet. The cop, seemingly unfazed by the close call, stands firm. But now the champion feels it. Something's different. The officer's calm demeanor isn't just a facade. It's his greatest weapon. This wasn't just a challenge for the champion. It's a test of the champion's own limits. For the first time, he realizes the cop isn't just trying to survive this. He's looking for an opening of his own. Before the champion can adjust, the officer's eyes flicker with something more. A flash of strategy, a sign of deeper training. Suddenly, the cop takes a step forward, closing the gap that was once wide between them. It's fast, deliberate, nothing like what the champion was prepared for. His heart races as he realizes the officer may have been waiting for this exact moment, when the champion overextends. The stakes are higher now. Every movement, every decision carries weight. Just as the cop makes a move, the timer is ticking down, almost to its final moments. Will the champion have time to recover, or has he underestimated his opponent once and for all? In a split second, the cop moves forward with precision, and before the champion can react, he's grabbed by the wrist in a tight hold. It's not a typical move, no brute force, just pure technique. The champion stumbles, caught off guard by the speed and strength of the officer's response. For a moment, the champion's mind races, trying to break free, but he realizes that the officer is no longer simply defending himself. He's controlling the fight. The champion's heart pounds as he tries to twist his arm out of the hold, but it's locked in, his every attempt countered by the cop's calculated movements. As the timer ticks closer to its final second, the champion, now in a vulnerable position, knows he's running out of time. His body is exhausted, his strength waning, and his thoughts start to cloud with the pressure. With one last effort, he uses his momentum to shift his weight and throw an elbow, but it's too late. The cop has already anticipated the move, and with a swift motion, he spins the champion to the ground. The timer hits 0. The fight ends. The champion is down, but to everyone's surprise, the cop doesn't stand up victorious. Instead, he bends down and helps the champion back to his feet, a subtle smirk on his face. The real twist. This wasn't just a test of strength. It was a test of control, mental and physical. The cop wasn't out to defeat the champion in the traditional sense. He was there to show him that even the most powerful fighters need discipline and awareness beyond brute force. The champion, breathless and humbled, looks the officer in the eye, realizing he's just been taught a lesson he'll never forget. The real fight wasn't in the takedown, it was in the mind. As the champion steadies himself, he looks at the cop with a newfound respect. For all the years of training in the UFC, all the fights, all the victories, nothing had prepared him for this moment. The real lesson wasn't about speed, strength, or technique. It was about control, awareness, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. The cop had shown him that the mind can be just as powerful as the body, if not more so. The officer gives him a nod, a silent acknowledgement that the challenge was never about dominance, but understanding. The champion smiles, accepting the lesson with humility. For once, the fight wasn't about winning, but about learning. As they walk away from the abandoned lot, the champion's mind is racing, not with thoughts of the fight, but with the realization that strength comes in many forms. And sometimes the true victory is in discovering what you didn't know you were missing.